All right, Jason Rona here at the Turf Nationals here in Enfield, Connecticut. We're here with Chris Marcy. Something that kind of stuck out to me here that I heard this weekend is it's the 30 years of madness, which 30 years in business is RC Madness here. Quite an amazing accomplishment. I can't really think of too many more tracks, facilities that have been around that long. I know more in Colorado. I know he's been around a long time also. But Chris, second location we talked about earlier. Over the years, how do you make this work over and over again for so long?
I don't really know. Pretty much, we just have changed things as the industry has changed. We've gone from buggies to 12 scale sedan back in the day. We did a lot of off-road back in the day, and then we went into the carpet. I'd say touring car 12 scale was real popular, and then we got into the carpet off-road, and then we since switched locations, moved to this new location, which we finally bought a property, so we didn't rent anymore, which is nice. And just added rock crawling, carpet off-road, astroturf, on-road, asphalt. We got indoor, outdoor rock crawling, and A-scale. A-scale for us is, to me, died off a little bit, but we're just kind of go with what's working.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like just being sort of flexible is what kind of the strength is here. You have, depending on which day you count, sometimes there's 8, maybe up to 11 tracks, or things that you can do here with RC vehicles, and that's what kind of stands out to me is we're on one of the tracks right now, but like you said. I think just being flexible. I remember in the old location, I want to say that you did a lot of the minis back then too. You did mini racing, right?
Yeah, mini racing, everybody said this is never going to take off, and we did that for about 5 years. We had mini nationals 5 years in a row with 200-300 entries every time. So then when we moved here, it seemed like minis kind of went away and the tracks were bigger, so we just went to 10 scale, and 10 scale has actually been working out really well.
And one thing that was really big here too, in sort of in the middle or the beginning of when short course, you had a big short course nationals here, and that was you got a monster turnout for that, right?
When we first moved here, we did the short course nats 5 years in a row. I mean, the first year we did that with Associated, and it grew for over 5 years, and then short course just kind of disappeared here. And then we just kind of went on to the next thing. So it's like trendy, depending on people, what they want to do, and we just kind of adapt. People want to try something different, then we try something different. So
yeah, and I mean, to me that seems like it's really smart on your end. There's a lot of people say. There's so much competition in this business now in terms of people can buy online and do that type of thing. But, and then I think there's some people that are intimidated of that, or they're also scared of it, But it seems like you kind of embrace actually having the ability to just have a place where people can run and use their equipment, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, you can buy it online if you're running in the backyard. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people have backdoor tracks. And same with the scaling. A lot of people have tracks at their house and things, but if they have a place where everybody can get together and just kind of works out. We do the monster truck thing. We got that coming up in a couple of weeks. That actually is a group of people that they're not into this type of racing, but they're into that type of racing, and there's a whole nother group of people. So you can get groups of people doing different things, but if they have a place to go, that's definitely the key,
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that I've also noticed is you're not really afraid to sort of take a chance. You put in the turf track, the outdoor one is probably one of the only ones, if not, it was definitely the first, if not the only one in the U.S. that's just, outdoor turf, but it's been working too, also, right?
Yeah, the turf's been working really well for us, and actually a lot of people that did other things that were very anti-turf, anti-carpet, tried it, and now they love it. So depending on their schedule, sometimes it's a little bit easier for them. Cars stay cleaner. Traction, depending on if the track's wet, traction pretty much stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have to do a lot of guesswork, and a lot of new people can get into it, when they get into the off-road and more difficult classes, there's a little bit more setup involved if they don't know about it. I think the carpet and the turfs worked well for us to get new people into the hobby.
So, what do you think on the terms of the way the kits are progressing in 10 scale off road? I mean, I know when we came here, this is I think our fifth trip here, perhaps, and when we first started coming here, the Yokomo cars were one of the first ones to have the lay down style transmission. There was the Schumachers that were known to work on carpet and AstroTurf, but over the years, the Associateds and the TLRs and then X-Ray coming into the picture. How do you see the Associated kind of reacting to the market? I see a lot more of their cars here now than I think I have over the past 5 years, but the B6.1 and the B74. And what do you say how those cars are developing and just having them more available now?
I think the B61 is a great platform. People come in all the time. It's the easiest car for us. I mean, there are more cars now that have come out with the gear diffs and things like that, but they catered for us. A lot of the other companies didn't really cater towards that at the beginning. That's where the original B6 came out. It was the most popular car here.
Yeah.
And then they progressed into the B61, and the platform has been awesome. People can build that car. Somebody comes in, it's kind of like the old. They come in, they want something, they want to build a car, they get into that platform. You can build that car, stock it out of the box, throw some tires on it, and go out there and have a great time with it.
Yeah, and then now we went from the B64 to the B74, and how's the 74 measuring up, and what's the feedback you're getting with different customers and drivers with that vehicle?
They really liked it. At first, when they first came out, it was a little. It seemed like they were a little late, but once they came out, now the people are getting into them and starting to build the platform. Very free. A lot of people commented about the drivetrain. They felt like it was freer than the last one and a lot more adjustment.
Yeah.
They seem to be really adapting to it. So,
And then, like we said earlier, that Yokomo was one of the first cars that did have sort of the turf carpet ready type of kit, and they're still working on their items. I noticed you got the new DTM3, I believe it's called, up there. It's got the Lee Martin paint job on it, and and the Yokomo stuff, it's still doing well, right?
it's the new car.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the guys that are into racing, a lot of people here anyway, something new comes out. If not, they'll build it, they'll try it. If they like it, they might go back to their old car. But
Yeah.
a lot of people like change, and that's kind of what I like about it is when we race a club race, the top 5 cars are probably 5 different cars. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys that run here that they're in groups of people. They all join together and they work together. But there's some people that want to be different. So giving that option is a nice thing for people to have.
And obviously outfitting all these cars, the one thing that kind of go into these races, and I'm noticing we do a lot of traveling around with besides Thomas and our group from J Concepts, but we also the Hobby Wing guys we have with us a lot. Ron Schur, we have a class here this weekend, 21.5, which is a Hobby Wing based motor. But I notice you have a lot of Hobby Wing equipment here also. And talk to us a little bit about the electronic side of getting these cars running, and what's it like to outfit a race car, and just getting the right electrical in it, and the importance of the speed control motor combination.
I mean, the Hobby Wing stuff for us has been cost price point for a lot of the entry level people. The just stock speed control. How can you beat it?
Yeah.
I have a lot of touring car guys that run it. We do a lot of classes. Like we would do a class that's spec motor, just stock speed controller in the buggies, and those things work out really well, and it's very inexpensive to get in and gets people into it. Plus they also have, we just got the newer speed controllers there with reverse polarity protection. A lot of people are really excited about that, and I don't know how many people have, but that's the big thing now. Is like, I just shorted out my speed control. Well, if you buy this one, you don't have that problem anymore. So we just got a whole new batch of the new version 2s in, and the XR10 Pro is a great platform that I'd say a majority of the racers here, that's what most people use.
I know when we talked about the monster trucks earlier, and I know I got some of the Hobby Wing brushed equipment, speed control, and I got one of those. I put it in my Clodbuster, and I was like, man, this thing is so nice. It has the little simple program box, but it just was so easy to use and throw in the Clod, and I felt like, man, I wish I've had this a lot longer. And I see you have some of those speed controls here, and it's a cheap alternative, and it's real easy, right?
It's very easy, and that's like the number one thing a lot of the scale guys do. They buy a ready to run. That's like the first thing most of them upgrade to, is the basic brushed basic brush speed, and it's very easy to use. It's very inexpensive, and it's bulletproof. I
Yeah.
mean, they're really happy with it. We had some problems. Some of the ready to run speed controls, they're
Yeah.
not as good, and with the program card, they can adjust it very easily. And it's actually been super popular. I mean, we sell a lot of those. It's almost everybody that buys a ready to run ends up with that speed controller in there. And then the dual motor one, exactly for like a quad buster and things like that, same thing. Compared to the back in the day, it's very inexpensive speed
Yeah.
control, very easy to use, and they work really great.
Yeah, I mean, lots of times we'll do these interviews, and I'll talk about my old Clawbuster days, and it's like I'm sure you're one of the ones that remember like the Trinity matched Madness. I mean,
Yeah.
Madness, that makes a lot of sense for you, but that was the that was the stuff you got back then, and it was expensive. I mean, they were really awesome, they're really fast, but in today's day. You can get a lot of this equipment, and it's really nice, and it's very inexpensive. I see the pricing and stuff, and it's like 40, 50, 60, $70, and you got this really nice stuff.
And now they have, and then I have the guys like in the scale world, they have the new axe system, and that's been really for the guys that are want to go over the edge. And we got all those systems in too, and those are very impressive how fast they are for a scale.
Yeah.
They have like a 3,000 kV, a 2,700 kV system. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's a brushless system. But we get a lot of guys that build the kits, and they want to put the servos they want to put in it. They want to put the speed controller and motor, and that's the combo they put. And very impressive. I mean, we do that stuff Tuesday. We do like a regular week, Thursday nights. We do the scaling, and then we do like events in the weekends. And that system has been great for that type of application too.
The one thing that stands out of all the tracks that you have here, and I don't courses you can call them, but when I go in the back and I see the scaling course you have back there, it just has the right like vibe to me, like kind of being back there in the corner. You still got the trees and the property back there, and I really feel like it's got the right setting, and it's somewhere consistent to go to. But when you're back there, I feel like I'm kind of like in the woods and still like in the right atmosphere. And like the other day we were here on Thursday. You said that was a night that you have you do some competitions back there. But what's that market been like for you? And is it something that you see that's continuing to grow, or where do you see that one kind of going?
I think it's growing. I mean, there's a lot of people that are into scaling that they might have raced before and it got too competitive for them or things like that, and they like the scaling because it's still competitive, but you're competing against yourself sometimes, and it's more relaxed, I would say. I mean, I'd say some of the guys still get pretty intense, but it's definitely a different vibe. But then we get other people that come down and they just families, their kids. It's been great for that. I get a lot of families have been trying to get their kids off the iPads and off this stuff. They'll come down and buy 2 or 3 of them, and they go hiking with them. So not necessarily are they using them here, but they come use them here, and they just go out with the family and go out into the woods. And so I think the scaling thing has actually been really popular lately. And as that grows, I mean, there's a lot of people getting into it, like company-wise, so that's been a little tough for us because we don't know what people want. But
Correct. Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of choices there, and I definitely don't think it's going away. I mean, it's definitely been really, really popular.
What do you think the crossover is like? Do you see people that kind of just cross from one to another, and then I guess you mentioned that you had some racers go to scaling and crawling, but do you also notice, is there anybody that starts in crawling or scaling and goes to racing and they say, well, why didn't I see this first? Just because they see it?
I almost see it the other way, but I mean, I'm sure there's people that do both ways. But I mean, I definitely have guys that race that scale in between the races. They'll bring their scaler.
Yeah.
So while there's downtime in between the races, they'll go out and do some scaling. Actually, one of the guys that came with his son, he's running the 21.5 this weekend. He's from Cleveland, and he was like, oh, we're kind of, it's a long time in between races. And I was like, well, just take a couple of scalers. We could have like 5 rental. Just take a couple of them. So he's been playing with them, and he's like, good thing you didn't give it to these yesterday because I probably would have bought 2 of them. So, I mean, you go to these bigger events, and you only run one class. There's a lot of downtime. And that's a lot of guys, they'll just bring them and they'll go out into the back and use them. And then I got guys that are into racing, but their buddies into the scaling, and so they both come together still. They're out scaling while he's racing. So I mean, there's definitely a mix between it, and it's for some people it's a break. You know, they race for a little while, they get too competitive, they'll take a break, go do some scaling for a month or so, and then come back to racing. So
Yeah, it's kind of just goes full circle sometimes. And so we got a big event coming up in the world of RC. I'm sure you follow things a little bit. We got the World Championships coming up here in about a week that people are leaving towards. And I just kind of thought, we got a lot of the past world champions. We've had world champions come out here and race with you several times. But if you're following it, you got any favorites going into the world, or people that you think can? We got Ryan Mayfield, who's obviously with the Yokomo. He's with Orion Performer Racing, but he's the current world champion. We got Spencer, who was here last year, running Hobby Wing now and Team Associated, and he's looking good. We got Ryan Cavallari with the Much More Power. He's got 4 world championships already. He's running Yokomo. We got the X-Ray crew. That's their track. Are you following this at all? And do you see you got any favorites kind of heading in or dark horses or?
I definitely follow it a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. I think they're all very capable. I think anything can happen. Spencer was awesome when he came down last year.
Yep.
I mean, wish him the best. I think he just did real well at the Nationals, right?
Yeah.
So, does Alex go? Alex is going to the World.
Yep.
So I mean, he's local. Love to see him.
Yeah.
Put in a show. I know he's been doing a lot of school, things like that. So, I mean, those are the people that I've met. I don't think I've ever really met some of the guys that, like Ryan Mayfield. I don't think I've ever met him, but he does win a lot of championships. So,
yeah.
I mean, and there's a lot of companies that, a lot of people here are like, which car is going to win? That's the car to buy. So
yeah,
it's kind of cool to see.
Well, that's good that you see it on that side of things. Where people are actually paying attention to the results, and maybe buying the new car based on that, and giving them renewed interest. I think that's kind of what it's all about. These guys race for that honor to win, but then they're also racing to hope that people buy the equipment that they're supporting. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people look at that. People that have grown up and this is the guy that they follow, and that's the product that they stick with. People have actually, like, if they were winning at one time and now they're stepped back, a lot of people still follow those people, even if how they're representing and things like that. So
finally, just wanted to get some input from you. If your advice on kind of being in this business, obviously 30 years of madness, and what's your advice to people that are in this type of business? And obviously we talked about the versatility, but do you have any kind of simple things that you can think of that's just great advice about being in this type of business?
I don't know. Just keep people happy. That's pretty much what.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Try to keep people coming, keep good enjoyment, a good hobby. Nowadays, like I say, I think a lot of things is like gaming, computers. That's been a challenge, but I see more and more parents coming in now that they're like, they need a hobby. We got to get them out of the house. Got to get them doing something. And I think it's a good hobby to do.
And that might be critical, like you're saying, is the parents seeing the kids say, hey, I don't want them to stuck in their room or their gaming room or behind the computer. Let's just go out and let's try something different. And this is something right away you're not really getting hurt unless you're term marshaling poorly. But as far as the competition, I mean, this is that other thing that can really compete with the video games and the computers.
Well, the other thing is it's hands-on.
Yep.
You're learning at the same time. You're working on the cars. I don't know how many times kids, when they first come in here, they're like, they don't know what an Allen wrench is, and it's like, they know how to use an iPad. They know every button on it, but they don't know the basic skills. And there's a lot of, you're interacting with people. You're asking questions. As or when you're sitting in your room, you're doing it online, but it's a whole different type of communication, I think. And I think it's great for that end of it, too.
Well, good. And, just based on what I've seen, I think the three things, obviously the dedication, you're not doing anything for 30 years without the dedication. And then not afraid to try something. And then obviously just kind of supporting and trying to make people happy. I mean, those are three of the big things, and then not giving up. I think
Well,
that, you know,
that's the other thing. You got to be willing to try, and if it doesn't work, then try it a different way or
Yeah.
try something else. Because, I mean, the turf in here, I mean, we normally have carpet inside. Over the summertime, people want to run AstroTurf because we have turf outside. And the first 2 weeks it rained, and I was like, well, so I just went out, got turf. It's an expense, but it was a change, and now they have that option. If it rains, they can still come and run AstroTurf inside.
Yeah.
I mean, we're planning on probably taking it up November-ish and running carpet for the winter season. Once again, for change, it's something different. It revitalizes people. They like how, they got to change their car.
Yep.
When people kind of get bored, we change the tracks. Like in here, we change the track every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
As we're the off-road track, we change once a month just because it's a lot more of an undertaking. And like same with the AstroTurf track, we change that for every trophy race. So once a month we change it, so it's always different. And then people say, it's a new challenge. That guy that's been running there, every week, every month, it's just different. So it's a new challenge, new jumps, new layout, and it keeps people coming back.
All right, well, this is Chris Marcy, 30 Years of Madness here. We're here for the 5th annual event with J Concepts here. We're at the Turf Nationals. We're checking in with everybody, and we appreciate you joining us, and good luck in the future, and hopefully another 30 years so we could be at 60 Years of Madness. We'll be old by then, but that's part of it. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.